something that's been come to be known in some corners of the internet as the Boston Massacre took place the other day. The Red Sox fired Alex Cora and 5 coaches, losing a 6th one along the way. He was fired after a 10-17 start. The AAA manager, Chad Tracy, now takes over. They fired also their hitting coach, Pete Fates, their third base coach, Kyle Hudson, bench coach, Ramon Vasquez, assistant hitting coach, Dylan Lawson, MLB hitting and strategy coach, Joe Cronin, and then game planning coach, Jason Varitek, left as opposed to taking a reassignment to AAA, as was expected.
Cleaned house.
They cleaned house. I think this is a move as a Yankee fan I love. Thank you. Thank you for getting rid of a top 3 coach in all of baseball. Really, just great stuff.
Yeah, I mean, the Red Sox are the team that I wanted to bring up in terms of my team of the week that we talk about opposite our teams. I guess I want to start by asking you guys the question, because, John, you had mentioned it last week about if the Phillies didn't play better, firing Rob Thompson. I think we've talked about Mendoza from the Mets. Boston was in a similar boat in terms of not playing well. But do we think that this was too soon to make this drastic of a move?
Yes.
Yeah. And it's kind of a bad look, especially after that kind of a blowout win.
Yeah.
Well, I think what makes it such a bad move is, Mendoza, not proven. Rob Thompson, not proven. Alex Cora is a proven good manager. And obviously, yes, there is the asterisk of some of his Astros teams. But we also saw him be successful. After that, we've seen him be successful with Boston. I would say last year was kind of an overachievement for where they thought they were going to be in terms of making the playoffs. And yes, they got off to a slow start this year, but the AL, as we mentioned, has all kind of basically gotten off to a slow start, and it's been pretty wide open. I think the Yankees got him fired. I think getting swept at Fenway by New York, and I'm not even just saying that as a Yankees guy. Like, I think that genuinely was the nail in the coffin. I think they decided after that series they were going to let him go. They were just trying to work it out. And it just so happened that Boston put up 17 on Baltimore the day that it was decided. But I really think it was after that New York series that they thought that a change needed to be made, because getting swept at home by New York hits different.
I think we're at a crossroads when it comes to Fenway, when it comes to the Red Sox. I think in one way, if this works out, we're going to see a quick rebuild of the Red Sox, because Craig Breslow, consolidated power, because this, at the end of the day, to me, was a power grab, nothing more. I don't think Cora deserved to be fired. I think a lot of the shortcomings the Red Sox had nothing to do with him. They were given a terrible roster, one that had no depth in the bullpen, one that had no depth in the rotation. The one in the depth that they did get, I don't believe.
I kind of disagree about the rotation.
I don't think it was good enough.
I think it was plenty good enough to be a decent team. I mean, you start with Crochet, you had Sonny Gray, Ranger Suarez, Connolly Early is a young prospect that I think has actually pitched better as the season has gone on here. And you do have Brian Bayo as your fifth pitcher. I think you had plenty of starting pitching. Chapman was never going to be what he was last year. Out of the bullpen, it's mainly just Whitlock. So I could see what you're saying there, that they need some additional arms. Ultimately, I think for Boston, we talked about worst case scenario for all these teams coming into the year. And Boston, the big reason that I didn't see them winning this division, which, we had talked about, could they win the division, is because the lineup was young and losing Bregman hurt. One, as a whole in the middle of the lineup, but two, as a leader in the clubhouse, and it was going to take time to figure out. I thought that this team had the potential to start slow and heat up as the summer months got going, because guys like Roman Anthony, because guys like Marcelo Mayer, Caleb Duran, these young players started to find their roles and find themselves as MLB players over the course of a full 162. And I thought Cora was kind of the perfect veteran manager to get them to that spot that, yeah, April and May, this isn't a team that's on your radar as World Series contender, but by August, September, they could have been. And I think the trigger was pulled too soon here. Now, Boston has gone on to win 3 in a row, and I'm not going to sit here and pretend that I know a lick about the new manager and the new coaching staff and their backgrounds and if these are the guys to develop this young talent. But I do think it's a big risk to move on from a guy who's proven an ability to develop a dynastic team.
I mean, the guy that they brought in was their AAA manager. He's the one that Roman Anthony, Marcelo Meyer, Tolley, they all were developed by. But like I was saying before, we're at a crossroad. On one hand, it could be good because you have the manager that got the most out of these young guys, and they should go full youth movement. When we see teams do that, it does tend to work better than, trying to substitute a lot of veteran presence in there.
You still need the veteran presence, though, because then you kind of get what they have now with they're leaning too much on Roman Anthony, and he's just, you get a noodle arm in the outfield from him because I'm just saying that's what happened
now, but
that's what happened. They rely too much on Anthony, and they need a veteran presence like Bregman.
Well, that's the thing. The Bregman Devers stuff, Cora and the front office have not been getting along for some time now.
I think what this did for Boston was change their timeline. I think with Cora as manager, the expectation was within this year or next year, they'd be vying for a World Series. I think we're almost at like a 2 to 5 year timeline now because you bring in a developmental manager, not expecting immediate results, I would assume. Like, you just brought this guy in from AAA. Like, he's got to find his own way in the major leagues. Like, I'm not saying Boston can't do it, but they're 5th in the AL East. They're 5 games under 500. Like, this isn't the year. At least it's not my expectation if I'm watching this team. My hope is that this team finds its way to 500 and maybe finds its way to sneak back to where they were last year as a wild card elimination. But where I feel like, okay, going into next year early, totally, like, these are great arms in the rotation. I love Crochet. Gray or Suarez, one of those guys stays around. And then Roman Anthony, Marcelo Mayer, maybe Caleb Durbin, maybe Cedine Rafaela. Some of these other guys come along from the ride, and I know the nucleus. I trust the coaching staff, and next year we could try and win a division, and then maybe the year after that, these guys are fully developed enough to be World Series contenders. But to me, this pushes back the window to kind of more 3 years down the line.
Yeah, I'm ready to write the Red Sox off now for the foreseeable future because, one, you have an ownership that was one.
There's nothing wrong with being the fun young team. No, it's just not where I thought they were going to be.
No, I thought they were going to win the division, be a strong World Series contender, but that was because I thought they had an experienced manager who could lift up a team and bring them to a level that they might not get to otherwise. But you have an ownership group and an owner in John Henry that once was, what you wanted out of an owner. They would pay, they would do anything to win. Now, I'm talking to friends of mine that are Red Sox fans, and the ownership does not want to support the team.
Sell the team.
They're focused on other things. The Fenway Sports Group, they're focused on their soccer teams and just their other properties.
I think they also own the Penguins, right?
I believe so, yes.
I believe they're part of that ownership group at least.
So the Red Sox are kind of falling by the wayside. The whole Devers debacle last year is directly connected to the issues we see here now because you have Bregman, you have Devers. You get rid of Devers.
And you wonder if that's part of the reason Bregman left.
Yeah,
did he see this falling apart?
No, well, supposedly what happened was, from what I heard with Bregman, though, was they went to the Red Sox and said, hey, we're getting bigger offers, and the Red Sox didn't believe that they were getting better offers and then offered them, and then he just left and took the better offer.
Yeah.
So supposedly that's what happened. Like,
not that Bregman's having the best season currently.
No, but what he brought to the team last year is exactly what they're missing this year. And
Yeah,
you
he's
have
batting
Devers, you have
252 with
Bregman.
10 RBIs. It's not like it's the worst season ever.
No, and I think Cora was butting heads so much that it was either going to be Cora or Breslow, and the Red Sox farm system, top heavy. Anthony, Meyer, Tolley, Early, they're all up now. They don't have a very good system below that anymore. They made some pretty poor trades. Harrison for Durbin, namely, is one. Obviously, even dating back to the Mookie Betts trade, this is all connected. And this is the dismantling of what should have been a great long-term Red Sox core. Bogarts, Betts, Devers, they should all realistically still be on the Red Sox playing in Boston. And if they just decided to spend the money, the Red Sox would be probably competing with the Dodgers again for a World Series title instead of competing with the Phillies and the Mets right now for the worst record in baseball.
What a statement.
Am I wrong?
I'm not. No, I don't think you're completely off balance. I think the Red Sox kind of hit another version of the reset button. But you can only be the fun young team for so long.
Right. And right now, they're not the fun young team. They're the frustrating young team with a fan base that won't just roll over and say, hey, now we're young and fun. They're angry. They're not going to be the 2017 Yankees who were the fun young team.
Well, and it's like you traded for Crochet,
right?
Not with the idea of hitting a reset button.
Of course, imagine what Kyle Teal would have. They don't have, great catching depth. Narvaez is a backup, in my opinion, and they have him and Wong as alternating starters. Imagine what a Kyle Teal would have been there. Like, the Crochet deal was unnecessary and probably sets them back a little further.
It was unnecessary if the timeline wasn't to compete now.
Right, exactly. And now that's not the timeline. The timeline isn't this year or next
And also
year.
their free agency moves. Sonny Gray, they spent money there. Ranger Suarez, they spent money there. Like, these guys, especially Gray, that's not a 2028, 2029
Wilson Contreras
viable starter. Yeah. So a lot of just re-looking back, you went as far back as Mookie, but you just look back on the last 24 months of Boston, and you're kind of like, what was the point of some of these moves?
It's like they changed their mind like halfway through.
They changed. They did. I mean, we just watched it happen.
Yeah.
But don't be surprised if they're big time sellers at the deadline. That's
what do they have to sell, though?
There's going to be a team that needs pitching that's contending. You could move Sonny Gray and Ranger Suarez. I think either one of them without an issue.
Didn't Ranger sign a pretty solid deal, though?
It is a long-term deal. I'm not saying like you should move him. I'm just saying you could if you wanted to. Sonny Gray, certainly. I think you could move. I mean, Jaron Duran, we talked about him last trade deadline. Wilyer Rayu, Trevor Story, Wilson Contreras. Like, these are guys that obviously could be contributors to high-end teams. And we'll see what kind of injuries happen too. Like, ultimately we don't want it to happen, but it's baseball, man. If the Atlanta Braves, if Matt Olson goes down for the season, I bet they become more interested in a Wilson Contreras. If the Yankees were to lose Bellinger, they become interested in a Duran. If the Dodgers, well, they probably don't even need an injury. They just acquire talent left and right anyways. But
they'll end up trading for Crochet or something.
Yeah, I mean, I just think that, I just think there's a lot of different avenues where these teams could go. Maybe the Padres trade for Trevor Story and play him at second base. Or Bogarts to play second.
They have moves to make. Another issue with the Red Sox is the lack of positional continuity. They're playing a lot of guys out of position.
Well, I think you're going to get this new manager. He's going to come in. He's going to see what's what, and he's going to have what he envisions the lineup being. And I wouldn't be surprised if he envisions a lineup where Jaron Duran just doesn't play. If he's like, hey, he looks at the Boston Red Sox lineup and is like, I actually want Roman Anthony to be playing in left field by the Green Monster, and I want Yoshida at DH. I don't really want Jaron Duran. And then Duran's just not playing. Like, that's a real possibility. he could say, hey, a guy like Isaiah Kiner Falefa, I don't really want him on my team. Move him. Like that is in the realm of possibility for where the Boston Red Sox are at currently. I think they're in muddy waters, and I think fans have every reason to be upset.
So we're ready to stick a fork in it, right? The Red Sox are done. It's over for this year.
Yeah, I mean, I think they did it. Like,
so,
if they stick a fork in it, like, I'm not going to hold out hope.
Where we stand right now, over under 70 wins.
I still lean over. If you had told me 80, I might have gone under, just because I do think they could be heavy sellers at the deadline.
Well, that's why I chose 70, because right now where we're at 70,
I still lean the over. I still think this is probably a 75, 76 win team.
I'm going to take the under. I think if the Red Sox really lean into what they're going, I think we're looking at what could be a complete.
I mean, they just won 3 in a row.
They did. I think we're looking at what could be a complete implosion of the team. I feel like the players could be losing faith with the front office. They're not going to be playing as hard because you're not giving them anything to play for.
I think these young guys still got too much to prove.
Yes, but then some of the veterans don't. You already saw the discontent they had with Devers and that type of thing. It doesn't just go away. It festers like mold. So you already had that in the back of a lot of guys' minds where the team doesn't have their back. The one guy that was consistent and did was Cora, and Varitek, who is a franchise legend that left the team. And it's not like they all left on good terms. This coaching staff and one of the greatest players in Red Sox history left on bad terms. And I think all that is going to affect how this team and its players are perceived internally. And that's why I think if they don't get out in front and start making moves to win sooner than later, this isn't just going to be something that, it's a window 2 to 5 years from now. Like, it could just all fall apart.